right, hey again, everyone. Craig Galbraith, Editorial Director with Channel Futures here. Another edition of Channel Futures TV. I'm really excited to welcome in Mark Scherer. Mark is Senior Vice President of Product Marketing at Intermedia. Mark, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Craig. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Absolutely. Thanks for your support of Channel Futures. So I want to talk today a little bit about economic uncertainty that we're all sort of facing as we head into the new year. Really all around us, we're seeing companies laying off employees. Inflation, of course, is up. But what can partners do to help businesses future-proof while also being strategic about cutting costs?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we are seeing a lot of economic uncertainty, and I think it's a great time for partners to work with their customers and really assess their tech stacks. Right? Do they have the technology not only to support what's going on today, but for tomorrow, and really sit down, almost think about it like as a spring cleaning, right? What's working? What isn't working? Where can we save money? Where can we consolidate costs? Very important. And then I think it's a good time to look at the technology, make sure not only is it meeting the holistic needs of the enterprise, but the individual needs of the specific users in the enterprise, right? I think sometimes that gets really missed. You end up with a bunch of technology that isn't tunable to the specific needs of the user. And especially in the UCaaS, CCaaS world, we have that ability now to really right size it, not only for the company, but for the individual. So what a great time to sit down with a client and assess what's going on.
Good points. Good points. So let's get into the technology a little bit, Mark. You know, some businesses feel like they can get by in their existing communication stack. How can partners communicate the risk of not investing in better cloud communications?
To me, and I believe this is true, it all comes down to flexibility, right? Does your tech stack does the business's tech stack give them the ability to be flexible? And so what do we mean by flexibility? I think with the pandemic, we saw it was the businesses that had the technology that allowed them to pivot very quickly and adjust and adapt to whatever was going on, put their people wherever they needed to, allow people to continue to communicate and collaborate, were the ones that were much more successful during that transition, right? But it's more than that, right? Does your technology stack give you the flexibility to allow people to work from wherever? Does it allow your people to work mobile? Does it allow you to pivot quickly as your business might contract or expand, right? These are all things that we know cloud-based communications and collaboration does very well. We also know that the premise-based communication, hardware struggles with a lot of the concepts that I just talked about. So I think that, look, pandemics are nothing more than really big business continuity challenges. And so for example, maybe you didn't, as a company, pivot and send people to work from home. But it doesn't mean that you don't need the flexibility when there's a snowstorm, when there's a hurricane, when the suite above you has a water leak and forces everybody out of your office for a week while you've got a bunch of fans and dryers and they're drying it out. Flexibility allows businesses to ebb and flow with the needs of whatever's happening and still continue to do business. And I think that's one of the biggest differences between a cloud-based platform and a premise-based solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Things can happen. That's for sure.
Things always happen.
Yeah, they always happen. Right. All right. So given the current climate, Mark, the customers are even more careful, of course, where they're spending their money. So how can the right communications platform help businesses win customer wallet share?
Yeah. And I think there's two things to look at here. There's winning new customers, of course, but there's also keeping your existing customers. And I would almost start there, right? So you depends on what you read, but acquiring a new customer can be anywhere from 5 to 25 more expensive than just keeping an existing customer. So the first thing I'd say is, are you keeping your existing customers happy? right? Are you making it easy for them to reach the people they need to reach, communicate? Are you able to service them through the technology that you have efficiently in the way that they want? Because as we mentioned, as you mentioned, if money is a little tighter, then you can really surmise that businesses will be and consumers will be more picky with who they spend that more valuable money with. And you could also probably surmise they're going to spend that money with the businesses that they feel take the best care of them. So first, make sure you're taking great care of your existing customers, making it easy for them to get the information they need from you, right? Lock those customers down. Acquiring new customers, it's really the same thing. Are you easy to do business with, right? Are you creating an atmosphere where the new customers are just as happy as the existing customers, right? And that's, I think, if you believe that there will still be buyers out there might be less of them and they may have less to spend. Businesses are really going to have to compete on that customer experience, right? That will be a major battleground. And so do you have the right technology to allow your customers to reach you when and how they want, through the means they want, get to the right people, get to the right information quickly, efficiency? Those are questions that the business really needs to ask itself.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up customer experience. I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. Lack of resources, and I'm talking here about money, employees, any number of things, and really making it hard for businesses to hit their goals and compete on customer experience. So how does upgrading their communications platform help businesses overcome this obstacle?
I think that, several years ago, it was only the Fortune 500 and the larger companies that had the wherewithal to have the type of technology that could, allow customers to connect with them in multiple different ways, add automation to make things more efficient, both for the customer and for the business, right? The world has changed now with, contact center as a service. Even the smallest of business can use that same great technology that the large ones use to do those things, to make it so customers can choose to call or web chat or send a text message or email, that those communication channels come into the business, land at the right person at the right time with the right skill to help. These efficiencies really are what help drive that cost reduction, right? Also adding self-service components, right? I think what we just saw, Frontier Airlines announced that they are 100% digital, no more call-in phone number for their customers. I think you could probably argue that their pendulum probably swung a little far, because we know that customers still want to talk to people. But are you providing the efficient self-service where it makes sense, right? That's a great way to keep a handle on costs, add efficiencies, and make it through more challenging economic times, for sure.
All right, Mark. So we've talked a lot about how the customer is going to be impacted by this upcoming economic uncertainty, or I guess you could say we're already in it. But partners may also be nervous about what the future holds for them. So I'm curious, what would you say are the most important attributes that partners should be looking for in their communications vendors during these times?
Yeah. Thanks for asking a great question. I think first and foremost, the partner's going to want to make sure that the vendors they work with are partner first. And I think a lot of technology vendors say that and then end up competing pretty much directly with their partners, right? So you really have to kind of dig in there a little bit and make sure that when a communications provider says that they are partner first, that they're legitimately partner first. I think the second thing that I would look at if I was a partner is, what are the different models they have to allow me to go to market? Many have just one. You can be an agent and we pay you a commission. And then others, such as Intermedia, have other options where, for example, you can, as a partner, own the customer relationship and set your own margins, take the top line revenue. You have to do a few more things. You're required to do the support and the billing, but at Intermedia, we help you with all that stuff. So I think you want to make sure that the technology provider lets you go to market in the way that makes the most sense for your business. Okay. Obviously, you want to make sure that their products and their features and their roadmap aligns with your customers, right? That provider is not only offering you today what meets the market, but has a good look at what the future holds and where they're going. And then I think lastly, you wanted to really make sure you're working with a credible, reliable partner, right? Because that's at the end of the day, I mean, that's really where the rubber hits the road. The technology service provider has to be operating at a very, very high level, because if they don't, it just creates problems for you, the partner, right? That's time dealing with issues and problems that you should be spending acquiring new customers, keeping your existing customers happy, not fighting fires on behalf of a service provider. So I think if you think about those things, you're going to be in pretty good shape.
Mark, some great insight into some topics that I think everybody's got top of mind these days. Thanks for joining me today on Channel Futures TV.
Really enjoyed the chat. Thanks a lot for having me on.